So an inequality works the same way, except for we have to reverse an inequality if you multiply or divide by a negative in order to solve. So again, we have adding, so we are just going to be subtracting 12 from both sides, which leaves me with m is less than 19. And then we want to show that. So because it's a less than sign, it's going to be an open circle. And I'm just going to do 19 in the center, number that is higher than it to the right, number that's lower than it to the left. 19 is going to be an open circle, and it has to be less than that, so it's going to point to the left. Okay. So next one, we're adding 6 to both sides, which leaves me with n is greater than or equal to 26. Again, I'm going to start in the middle with 26. Go a number higher, then a number lower. Okay, it can be equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle. That's closed, like it says in parentheses down there. And it's got to be greater than, so it's got to go to the right. Okay. I gotta color that in, but I can't color in a circle. Make sure your circle is colored in. Okay. Next, we are dividing both sides by 5. Oops. And that leaves us with c is greater than negative 9. It's negative 45 divided by positive 5. Okay, so, and then I have negative 9. I need a number greater than negative 9, which would be a negative 8. And then a number less, negative 10. Be careful when you're dealing with your negatives. So C has to be open circle, and where it's got to be greater than, and so it's going to go towards the right. Okay, at the bottom is just the information about it, not necessarily it going with each one. Okay, and then finally we have to multiply each side by a negative 3. Anytime we're multiplying by a negative or dividing by a negative, our sign is going to flip. So that leaves us with x is less than or equal to a negative 27. Here's negative 27. A number greater than it is a negative 26. A number less than it is a negative 28. Greater than or equal to, meaning I have a closed circle on 27. And x has got to be less than or equal to, so it's going to go to the left. Okay, and then there's your little hints at the bottom about how to graph an inequality. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Two-step equations and inequalities. Okay, so we always undo addition and subtraction first, which is removing the constant. So the constant here that we want to remove is negative 12. So we're going to add 12 to both sides. That's 28. I have no idea why I did that. So add 12 to both sides, which leaves me with 8x is less than or equal to 40. And then undo multiplication or division. Here's multiplication, so I'm undoing it with division. So x is less than or equal to 5. And then graph it. Numbers bigger and smaller. It can be equal, so it's a closed circle, and it's going to go to the left. And then undo, remove the constant. So the 17 is what we want to remove because it's on the same side as the y. Gotta do it on both sides. And that leaves us with y over negative 2 is greater than 8. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2, which leaves me with y. Because it's a negative, I need to flip it, and it's going to be a negative 16. So y is less than a negative 16. So here's negative 16. Something greater is negative 15. Something less is negative 17. It can't include 16, and it has to be less. So it's going to the left. Open circle to the left. Okay. Next, multi-step equations and inequalities. Distribute if necessary, so that is necessary on this one. So that leaves me with 15h, and then minus 12 equals 7h plus 36. Combine like terms if on the same side of the equal sign. So there's no like terms on either side of the equal sign. Use inverse operations to move variables to the same side. So we want them to be on the same side. So let's see. I'm going to add the 12. Oh, it says variables first. So we'll do that. We'll do the variable first, like it said. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 7h. Subtract 7h. Okay, and so 15 minus 7 gives me 8h minus 12 equals, so that canceled to be 0, so that's why we were subtracting the 7, and then left with 36. And then we add 12 to both sides, which leaves me with 8h is equal to 48, and then divide both sides by 8. H is equal to 6. Okay, and so we would just do 5, 6, and I didn't mean to close out of that. Okay. See, pen. And so the way we would do this is because h is equal to 6, the only number it can be is 6. So you would just put a closed dot on the 6. Make sure you number it. I just can't go that low in this presentation and have it record. Okay, so again, distribute if necessary. It is not necessary. Combine like terms if on the same side. So we do have like terms on the same side. So 12 minus 3 is 9. So 9w plus 7 greater than or equal to 61. Subtracting that 7 from both sides, leaving with me with 9w is greater than or equal to 54. Oops. 54. Divide both sides by 9. So w is greater than or equal to 6. So in this case, we're going to have this 6 here, greater than or equal to, so closed circle, and then it's going to go to the right. So yeah, we've been practicing that. Make sure you have your numbers. Put some more numbers on there instead of just 1. Okay. 7th grade solutions. Equations, 7th grade equations have one solution. It can be graphed like a dot on the It can be graphed as a dot like the graph on the left. And then in inequalities, 7th grade inequalities have more than one solution. They call it a solution set. It's graphed as an open circle or closed circle and a shaded arrow like the graph on the right. So just showing you the difference. Percents. So when we dealt with percents, we used part, percent, and whole. He's showing that you can use it as a proportion as well. So percent out of 100 equals is over of, which is the same thing as part over whole. So we're going to do part is equal to the percent times the whole. So 20 is the part equals what percent we're looking for that. So I'm going to make that an X and then W of 50. Okay, so we'd usually see that as 50x. Okay, but we just divide both sides by 50. And when we do, we get 0.4 is equal to x. And so we move that decimal 2 places to the right, 1, 2, since we were looking for a percent, and it is 40%. Okay, you're welcome to do it as a proportion as well. Those are the two that you could use to set it up, and you just cross multiply and divide. Okay, so tip gratuity markup are amounts that are added to the original costs of items. Discount, sale, markdown are amounts that are subtracted from the original cost of items. And then let's add a commission. Is the amount earned by a salesperson. Okay. Proportions. Proportions are a comparison of two ratios or rates using an equal sign. So it says to identify the two units of measurement. Okay, so we're going to look at this problem. Johnny can solve 6 math problems in 2 minutes. How long will it take for him to solve 24 math problems? So we have math problems, and then we have minutes. So those are our 2 units of measure. Put 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. Minutes. Okay, so we have 6 over 2 is equal to, and then 24 math problems. So that was in the numerator, and I have my MP over there to remind me that. And then I don't know, it says how long will it take him to solve, so I'm going to make that an X. Okay, fill in the information that you know, and then cross multiply and solve the equation. So 6 times x is 6x. 2 times 24 is 48. And then solve that one-step equation, which is just to divide both sides by 6. So x is equal to 8. So 8 minutes. It's not the only way to solve, but it is the way that we were solving. It does not have this bottom part that says, in this example, the math problems in minutes are directly proportional. The constant of proportionality can be found by using k is equal to yx, where the problems are y and the minutes are x. This means that k is equal to 3, and the equation for this example is y is equal to 3x. And so you would just say your problem divided by the minutes. Remember, X is always time. So there were 6 problems in 2 minutes. 6 divided by 2 gave me that 3 problems